We are going to go over artist Keith Haring today. Have you guys heard about him before? No. I have a poster of him on my wall. Which one do you think it is? That one. Yeah, it's very good. Okay, so by the end of this lesson, students will be able to complete a pop art graffiti subculture project inspired by the artist Keith Haring at 100% accuracy measured by assessments. Okay, that just means that we'll be doing a project, and by the end, you should be able to complete that successfully by learning about his art and being inspired by his art and stuff, okay? So, we're gonna do a little documentary on him quick, do a quick little slideshow, then we're gonna do like a fun little, I'm gonna pick on a couple of kids, you're gonna stand up front and you're gonna create a pose, and then we're gonna kind of draw it because he does a lot of like dancing stuff and fun things. So, it's not as hard as you think. We kind of can draw like a stick figure and then bubble around it to create the shapes, okay? So it should be kind of fun. And I think you guys will find it a little interesting, all right? So
Pennsylvania. He was passionate about art at a very young age. In 1978, Keith Haring left his perfectly safe suburban life in Pennsylvania because, as he later said, he needed intensity for his art, but also intensity in his life. And there was only one place to go, New York City.
As long as anyone can remember, people have been expressing themselves by writing or drawing on public walls. There's a word for this. It's called graffiti.
The city exposed Haring's graffiti, targeted by the authorities and overlooked by the art world, but valued by Haring and others for its technical mastery and direct connection to the public, which often uses bold, expressive lines and simplified forms to create impactful visuals. And Haring adopted these characteristics in his own work. He developed a distinct style of fluid, continuous lines and invented his own visual language. And the democratic nature of graffiti meant he could create art that would reach and engage a broad public. It would be a career-long theme for Haring, breaking down barriers between high art and low art, bringing in an urban community and particularly working-class communities. He wanted his work accessible to everyone, and not just the elite. He called the New York subway his laboratory, experimenting with ideas and form, taking on the rectangles of black paper used to cover expired advertisements. Haring, using chalk, did hundreds of drawings over a 5-year period and was arrested several times. The simplicity of the images was a necessity, as he had to work quickly to avoid getting caught. But sometimes the hastily drawn panels managed to perfectly capture the frenetic energy of New York City. The radiant baby became his trademark. The beauty of Haring's work is its positive church basement in the East Village. Haring would put on art shows and become friends or friendly rivals with fellow painters Jean-Michel Basquiat and Kenny Scharf, joining artists creating work outside of the elitist and restrictive world of the galleries and museums. They weren't producing the austere conceptual art being shown uptown, but art that was noisy, dirty, chaotic, liberating, colourful, and fun. Nightclubs were an important part of what shaped Haring's art. The music, the energy, and above all, the dancing, are all reflected in the fluidity and rhythm of his figures and his line. Political activism had driven Haring's bright, brief career, and he truly believed in the power of art to change the world.
Ignorance is fear. Do you guys have any idea? Do you know what ignorance means?
No.
It's kind of like if you don't know something about, like everybody was scared of it, but no one knew much about it, so then people had these like opinions about it that could be really negative, right? Without knowing a lot of information about it.
So like you're scared to speak your like this.
There's a fear which creates this like not knowing a lot about something, but then judging it
But we
and
know
being
what
like
it is
negative
now, right?
about it. Huh?
We know what it is now, right?
Traditional form of political activism. He saw in them the immediacy which we now think of when we think of his aesthetic. It was in 1982 that he created one of his first posters. He printed and paid for 30,000 of them, which he gave out for free during an anti-nuclear protest in New York. He would use his platform to get us talking about socio-political. He was a populist who wanted his work out there for the world to see, for free. The art establishment didn't really understand it, but
So that's a huge thing. That's going to be on one of your tests, okay? Because we're going to start doing little tests on all the artists and stuff, so just so you know a little bit about them. Like stuff so that it could be accessible to everyone. Not only rich people could have his work and stuff like that. We're like Andy Warhol or Basquiat or something, we're doing these big paintings that were huge, but like you and I couldn't go and buy it, right? But we could go and buy like one of his works back then, right? Before now that you could find prints of everything, like every artist you could find like a copy of something, but that was a huge thing that he wanted to do. Also, another huge thing about him was like his political activism involvement, right? So he used his fame as an artist to like stand up for people like women's rights. Let's get a solution for it, and for political things and everything, right? So it was really powerful and really cool that he's more of like an activist artist. He really used his art and his name and his fame to like try and change the world. Okay, so that's something about him that you should know and remember. Okay. Also, he was inspired by what? What did he like to do a lot of? What a lot of his figures do? What am I dancing? Yes. So that's going to be a question too. What was this artist inspired by a lot, right? So a lot of his movements and stuff, you always see those little lines and stuff like over here. It's like a lot of dancing figures, right? He liked to dance and stuff, right? So stuff like that. Okay.
And posters were a way to reach the widest audience possible.
Especially, I mean, my life is my work and my work is my life, and so the two things are completely intertwined and are almost one and the same.
This is a portrays three individuals whose race and gender are not obvious, and by using his trademark de-individualized unisex figures, he sends a coded message.
Like that he creates these figures, you can't really tell if they're male or female, and that you never really know them, and a lot of people didn't know much about it. His way of like doing figures that have no identity or no color or no race or no, you know what I mean? Gender, all that kind of stuff.
He never sketched beforehand or planned anything, but let it flow spontaneously like automated writing. His line was described as continuous, not because it is uninterrupted.
So that room, who does that remind you of, the artist that we studied?
Oh, the girl, the old lady.
Yeah, Yoi Kasuyama, right? How she kind of went overboard like on polka dots. You walk into a room and it's like totally covered like that, and then this is like his graffiti style line too, right? Good, tell me.
But because it has a
I know it.
I never had any sort of delusions about living until I was going to be an old person. But there's works that I created that are going to stay here forever. There's thousands of real people, not just museums and curators, that have been affected and inspired and taught by the work that I've done. So the work is going to live on long past when I'm going to be here.
I mean, that's pretty cool, right? To have such an impact on the world and stuff, and like to have such a short life, but knowing that your work is going to live on, so it's like you're being part of you still alive and stuff like that. It's kind of cool, inspiring, I think, for sure. So, what did we think of the artist? Did you guys like him? Like, do you like his artwork?
Yeah.
Yeah? Like you thought it was kind of fun and cool and stuff like that? Yeah. He definitely was one of the more political kind of artists that we've talked about, right? So he kind of, just standing up for things that he believed in and stuff, right? So we are going to watch, like we have been doing like a little slideshow of some of his work. I want you to kind of find one that you like, right? And then I'm gonna have you just talk about it a little bit, like what are some of your favorite things about it? What are some of your like, oh, I didn't really like this, but I really love this, or something like that, okay?
Oh, polka dot reminds me of.
Yeah, you're right.
I can do that.
Back then? In there and think what he's trying to portray or how it makes you feel or something like that. So why don't you turn and talk to your neighbor, so partner up, Chris, like a minute or two. So talk about it right now, like amongst everybody. And you should be able to see maybe two figures in here, right? Think about what they're doing. Think about stuff that you like about it, what kind of like emotion you get from it, and stuff like that. Alright, so Krista and Indiana, what did you find? Like, what do you think about this artwork?
Like I said, I think like one is like just leaning on the other, and one might have
Like leaning on like this?
yeah, or like his in the video before, like they show like the guy like dead from pain. He was like kind of like just waiting there.
Oh, the one that they were like dragging a little bit? Yeah, so you think it kind of like represent that a little bit? Yeah? Okay, what about you, Salmi? What do you think that's kind of represents? Do you think it's supposed to be more fun if he's like dipping someone who's dancing, or do you think it's more there? Oh, okay. Instead of a dancing head, it's like they fell on top of each other sort of thing and stuff like that. Alright, Alex, what do you think?
The guy with the X on his head calling it an AIDS.
Okay.
He's talking about if you have an X, it's probably like an AIDS patient.
Okay.
And the guy with the AIDS is stripping the guy with the circle on his head and they're like dancing while they're doing it.
Yeah, so they're kind of happy but kind of sad, or kind of like, do you get like a good vibe from this, or do you get kind of a sad vibe from this? A little bit of both? Yeah? What about you, Eric? What, if you had not known about the background, right, and like that, would you have looked at this and thought anything like that? Would you thought it was more of like a happy or a sign of fun sort of thing, but now that you know a little bit about his history and some of his artwork? Yeah?
Yeah, it looks like I mean, there's like no bright colors, so I wouldn't be like,
You don't think red's bright? You think it's more like,
oh yeah,
it can be like more
yeah, just maybe like a blood. I don't know.
more like blood color? Yeah.
It's a bright color.
Do you like it or do you not like it?
I like it.
Yeah. Does knowing the political context behind some of his work kind of change your opinion on some of his stuff though?
Yeah.
Yeah? Because at first when you look at this stuff, it's like super fun, carefree, which is still what it's supposed to be. Not all of it should be cool like that. Okay, good. Okay, so I want you to think of a pose, okay, that you're gonna come up and you're gonna be like this or whatever. So there's a lot of his work playing here. You can always use as inspiration, or you can just be like this, or you can do whatever, just silly, right? And then we're gonna come up, or I'm gonna show you, well, you guys will do it on your piece of paper. So make sure you have like a room for a couple of them on there. This is just for fun to get stuff out. So like, Eric, for example, why don't you stand up here for a second? And do a pose. Like any sort of fun pose. Okay, but do it so I can see, everybody can see you. Come over here a little bit so I can see you too. Like that? Okay, so what I'm gonna do is for his head, I'm just gonna do a little dot. We're like drawing a stick figure first, right? So, hi. Alright, so we're gonna do like a little stick figure drawing of him first in this pose, right? So we have his head, and then we've got his neck, his body, right? And his arms come out like this, and like this, and then down, and like this. So then for Keith Haring, we're gonna kind of, that'll be like our base, right? Good job, Eric. Okay, so then we're gonna kind of go around it in his style, right? So I'm gonna come in here, and I'm just gonna kind of trace around this, maybe give him like a little foot. Come down, another little foot. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm gonna erase the inside. Like, we'll make them nicer later, but we're just gonna get some ideas out. And then we can pretend like a way to make it more movement, right, is adding these little lines, right? So pull out one here, and one here, right? So he's kind of like, or something. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So for the next one, I want you guys to do the same thing, right? So make sure you have room for like 3 on the front. And this is just, we're gonna get some stuff out, and then we're gonna trace around stuff, and then we're gonna pick our favorites, or start to come up with some of our own. And so that's kind of what we're gonna be doing today. And then tomorrow, we'll kind of put them together as like a picture, right? With your own ideas and what you want. But I'm gonna show you how to kind of draw this style, so you can get some ideas out. Does that make sense? Anybody confused? All right. Just like this. Whatever you want. You can think of these two. What the heck? Or you can be like, what is he like? Oh. You can just go like this. Good, those are really good, Gabriel. So guys, look for a second. Gabriel's already doing it kind of like his style, right? So if you start to feel comfortable, you can already jump to this. I'm just trying to show you like the basic way of doing it first, okay? So that if you're having a hard time getting to this point, that's a way that you can kind of get the shapes, and then we can go in and tweak them later. Very good. All right, Indiana.
Carissa, why are you smiling?
She's like, well, we probably only have room for like 1 or 2 more. And then we got a scene over the day. Okay, you have your pose?
Girl.
Okay. We have to hold it for a minute. Everybody has to. Can everybody see her?
You're not gonna be able to.
You can lean against the wall if you want.
Yeah.
There we go. And then maybe just do it like sitting or something. Yeah, if you can hold it. All right. Challenging her. This is like her core challenge. So we got her head here,
I
right?
have an extra
We
minute
got
of this.
her neck. We got an arm down here, right? We got the other arm up here. We have her body. Then her one leg's like this, and her other leg's like that, and like this. Okay. So we'll give her a sec, but just draw that really quick and then we can outline it. Good job. Way to be creative. So you see how you kind of get the idea, and then use that, and then use it as a guide to go around. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. And you can just do it quick, guys. This is just to kind of get it out, and then tomorrow we'll kind of go and we'll make them a little nicer. Good, Brody. Good, Ritra. Yeah, and then Eric, just go around and just quick, like, just to get the idea of drawing like the bubbly style. We got our head, the body, right? We got our head, and then we're gonna wrap up, and we're gonna do our little vocab quiz just to refresh and see where you guys are at. Do we like this artist? Do we like, yeah? Yeah? Who's been your favorite so far out of the ones we've done? This one? Yeah?
Japanese lady.
The Japanese lady with the, like, the yayoi kusama. I like her stuff a lot too, yeah. But it was kind of cool because when you see his prints with the polka dots, it reminds you of her, right? Is it kind of fun now to like, the more artists you're knowing about, the more you're like, oh. Like, now hopefully you'll be walking around and you'll be able to be like, that's an Andy Warhol print. That's a da-da-da. Because you'll start to notice it more in
The
your
one that
life.
was like friends with Andy Warhol.
Basquiat?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool too. Have you guys been to any of the local museums? Like in Miami, or there's one in Boca, and, no? It'd be fun if we could do a field trip, maybe I
I was
could do.
one in like London.
You went to one you went to the Louvre? The really big, famous one? Wow.
I went to one in Miami that like kind of made it like a 3D theater by having projectors everywhere.
I went to a show like that too, it was really
Yeah, so
cool.
it's kind of like trippy.
Yeah.
It's kind of 3D everywhere. They had it so it kind of poked out and stuff.
Oh really, as you're walking around and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing like a fully immersive Van Gogh has been like touring a lot. Have you guys seen the ads for that?
Yeah, I think it was.
Where like you go into the rooms and like all of his work's projected really huge on the walls and stuff.
That's what I went to.
You went to the Van Gogh?
Yeah, it was in
Oh,
Miami.
yeah, I think it was just there, yeah. I think there was a light, there's, yeah, that was the alarm. Alright, so we gotta clean up, just make put your name on it, and then we're just gonna use this as like a little reference for tomorrow when we start to go into our figures a little bit more. But do you kind of feel a little bit better about being able to like create a like shape and do this and think about it like that? Okay. Cool. Alright, so we're gonna hand everything in. Where did Keith Haring live?
New York.
Pennsylvania, but where did he live? Like
New York.
New York activist sort of artist?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Was he an artist who wanted everyone to have access to his work?
True.
Not just him? Very good. What was a big thing that he stood up for? Very good. What was something he really liked to do and is inspired by? Dance and art, right? The dancing, right? The dancing figures and stuff. Okay, so how about, I'm gonna call on someone, tell me 2 things you like about his art and 2 things you don't really like about his art. Gabriel, what are some things you like? Like, do you like the simplicity of the
I like
lines?
the color.
Do you like the colors he uses?
Yeah.
Okay, how about I'll just have you guys do one, because maybe it works a lot. Alright, Carissa, what's something you like or dislike?
I like that he uses multiple, like in some of his images, he uses multiple bodies in one. Like he has like 3 legs or like
Oh yeah,
2
like so.
heads. Like I like how he uses 2 bodies.
Yeah, I like the ones too where he's like sitting on the dolphin or like random stuff or the dog's barking and stuff. What about you, Daniel?
Dog.
You like the dog, the barking dog? Rohi, what about you? What's one that's something that you like or didn't like about his work? Or a favorite one that you like? Huh? I can't hear you. The dog too? Alright, Alex, what about you?
The bat.
You like the bat one? Yeah, with the wings, that one was cool too. What about you, Ritra?
The different poses.
You like the different poses? They're fun? Alright, Indiana.
I like that he like served people out with frustration.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, where there's like a lot going on and you can kind of see the image inside of all the lines and stuff. Yeah, that's cool. What about yours? Gosh, I will see you tomorrow. Maybe think of some fun